Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a new single with a B-side on it, so two tracks today from a group named Vices Inc., who I have reviewed before and I do enjoy listening to their music. This newest sort of take is called With You Again, with the B-side Whatever Happens. So I've got Ellie, who does lead vocals as well as viola. We've got Jagger, who does guitar, bass, and also keyboard. And then finally, we have got Christy, who does the drums. So that's awesome. And another fun fact about this release that we're listening to today is that apparently it was mastered at Abbey Road Studios, which blows my mind. It blows my mind to know that you can get your music just like technology is incredible, isn't it? You know, Abbey Roads is just, I'm very excited, not just because we're listening to Vices Inc. And I'm going to remain as unbiased as I can be, of course, you know, because I want this to be an objective review, and that's what you have to do as a reviewer. But just knowing that they've gotten it mastered at a place like that, it's a good start. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to switch over to here. We got it on Spotify, With You Again, and Whatever Happens. Now, I've learned something fun today about Spotify. I've always had an issue with the album art being obscured by my face here, but what I can do is this. And then suddenly the album art is here, and we've got Vices Inc. right here. So that's awesome. So we're going to listen to both tracks from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Cool. There's a really sort of like, there's that kind of warmth that I sort of associate with being mastered through the kind of gear that Abbey Roads has. It's fantastic. Really nice introduction with that sort of like a little bit of grit on that sort of overdriven guitar. I like the additional layers when the vocals come in, and I think that Ellie's voice is sitting nicely in the middle of the mix. It's very soft, very somber, you know? There's a beauty to it. And there's a viola, I assume? Very subtle, but it works well. So like from what I can tell about the lyrics so far, this is just about someone who has had some distance with a person they're very, very, very interested in. And to have that, not just, you know, it's not just enough just to be able to sort of talk, you know, via you know, digital means. You need to have that sort of physical connection. You need to have that sort of, you need to have that sort of sense of intimacy with them, but also you need to have that sort of that knowledge of knowing that you're actually with that person. That's comfortable within that higher range. Those overdubs as well are kind of dope, how they're being panned on the sides. Hey, drums! Getting a mid-2000s kind of sort of punk kind of vibe from this. Those tom fills are pretty slick as well. I'm liking how they contrast with the 1 and 2 and kind of 8th note groove. Yeah, that ache, that sort of distance, you know, it's rough. I'm liking how we're taking our time with this. We're not trying to rush to a higher sort of energy level. We're letting it slowly sort of build up and sort of crescendo over time. The mix is really clean. I really adore how the different instruments are being put in the mix. There's absolutely no issues with any of the EQing or panning or any of that kind of stuff. The compression's nice without being too overwhelming. That kick is dope, dude. I'm liking how that's coming through. I'm liking how the guitar and bass tracks are so supportive of the vocalist, and the drums are just keeping that groove going in a way that's really nice and friendly. Going back to the initial idea, that initial concept, cool. Kind of that sort of like, kind of that hopeful arpeggio on the strings. Yeah, I'm impressed with that. That's really nice. It's great to see a softer side of Vice's Inc. You know, I really adore their sort of there's a bit of heavier stuff that I listened to from him in the past, but to have this sort of range, they managed to make the music match the lyrical subject matter in a way that was authentic and easily recognizable. And well done to Vice's Inc. on this. It's dope. It's good stuff. Let's listen to whatever happens.
Nothing can ever change the way our minds connect.
DI'd acoustic guitar?
To my heart you hold the only key. Sometimes I think about the moment we first met. The past reminds
Bass
me
is...
that
I like the bass tone. I think it's nice and round without being too overbearing. It sits there nice and snugly in the mix.
want to be yours till the end.
Like, actually, like, shout outs to Christy and Jagger for their work on this with, you know, the guitar, bass, and drums. The performances, like, they're pocketing it really strongly in a way that's super helpful for the song. But also, you see those little fills, those little extra bits of bass, you know, when we switch up those rhythms, it's dope. Those little subtle things keep an interest in it. I'm liking how those clean melodies are panned.
Together we're riding out the storm.
Ooh.
And even after all
It's nice to have the I know I'm not really talking about the lyrics too much. I'll get to them in a moment, but I'm loving how we're going between those arpeggios and that hook, and then sort of like the strumming in the verse. Just those little changes are really helpful.
I know you are my destiny. As we look back across my letters that you saved, the past reminds me that I always want to be yours till the end. Oh, till you're gone. Whatever the weather brings tomorrow, together we're riding out the storm.
That's fantastic. So I assume the first part is that they've been apart and then they finally get back together again, and he's saved the letters and they're like, right, we've finally made it to each other. We're not gonna stop this. This is just us. This is just us. And we're gonna keep it that way. The music is very final, it's very assertive. It's like, nope, this is just how things are, and you've got to accept it as well.
I
That was beautiful imagery there, talking about after, afterlife and continuing past that and being connected forever. That's love. That's love. That's that's a thing to admire. That's a thing to sort of work towards, is for someone to love you like that. The whoever she's talking about is very, very lucky, you know. I'm liking the harmony with the guitar and bass. Actually like the layering with the clean, the sort of like acoustic and the distorted. It's nice. It's nice. It's not always that easy to get them to sound good together, but I suppose if you run with power chords, it's a bit more manageable. Have that sort of complexity in terms of like the intervals with the clean parts, so that they're not as gonna maybe clash as much. It kind of sounds like Ellie is calling out at this point, saying, "Look, we are gonna make it. We're gonna ride out that storm." Yeah, it's delivery makes a lot of sense. It's nice to change the group here for the second half. The strings in the background are nice. That's a little bit of energy for this final outro. Nice little build with that bass. There's consistency with this, which is what I would expect about a song about consistency within a relationship. Wow, I'm really blown away by how professional this was. I've got to admit, these guys are onto something pretty special. Primarily because I would imagine these to be the songs you'd hear on the radio, like in sort of movie playlists. So I can imagine this being in like a movie playlist, like a romantic track or something like that. Romantic movie. I could see that happening. It's a very strong track, but both of them. There wasn't any really crazy shenanigans that occurred in terms of the melody of the vocals or anything like that, or the guitar solos or any of that crazy stuff. But I think this was more of an exercise, again, in restraint from Vices Inc. Don't get me wrong. The performances were solid, spotless, very impressive. You've got to know when to pocket. If you just go kind of crazy with your performance, it can detract from the lyrics, the story that's being told. The idea can become too main sort of musical theme can become too convoluted. I could recognize a continuity with both of these tracks. I can also recognize a connection between the two. It's a very well conceived single, and that's got nothing. I think this is a step up. I'm looking forward to when they release their next sort of record, to see how they counterbalance this kind of material with some of their kind of heavier, more intense stuff, some of the faster stuff that I've heard in previous records, like an Everyday Hero. But we will see. And this may just be the direction that they want to go in as well, and I think that's really, really good. There is a maturity to this. I have a lot of respect for it. Vices Inc. are continuing to grow as an act. I think I saw before that they've got like 26,000 monthly listeners. These are not this is not an act to kind of discount or they're reasonably successful. They're doing well for themselves. It's difficult to get 26,000 people to care about your music, but this is what Vices Inc. are doing. I'm really proud of them. And that's basically my review of With You Again, the single with the Whatever Happens B-side. Shout out to Ellie, Jagger, and Christy for their work as instrumentalists and as vocalists, and throughout this. I feel like I missed some stuff. I think I got the main points of the tracks. I think I recognized why they were put together. I think I've spoken about the way the guitars. I just can't fault the production. I think if Abbey Roads was to mess up a master, that would be shocking. and it's the quality that I expect in terms of the post production. But I think it also needs to be stated that the actual recording, the recording, the mixing was also done incredibly well by these guys. And from what I understand, these guys are large. They handle themselves. They cover all the stuff themselves. They are largely independent. They're basically the kind of indie band that you need to be nowadays in order to succeed. Yeah, I do look forward to what Vices Inc. do in future. It's crazy that they've only been releasing music from what I can see on Spotify for a year. That's criminal where they are at the moment. But again, I'm gonna sound like I'm kind of over salting it a lot, overdoing it a bit with the praise. So I'm gonna take a moment to just kind of say thank you for watching this review of With You Again by Vices Inc. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I want to sort of talk about the way the singing was done in this single as a final note. There, aside from some vibrato and some sort of occasional kind of legato kind of like movements, the vocals are very conservative. I think that's a good thing because when you have that sort of foundational kind of understanding of where to keep melody, and when you can keep things simple in that melody, you don't overdo it. There are parts within these two tracks where I think if you had tried to do any sort of like whoa kind of stuff, some crazy stuff, it would have completely destroyed it. And Ali knows how to structure a vocal melody on top of, even when you've got like power chords involved, which traditionally give people a whole lot of range to really go nuts. And the lyrics were colorful enough to not require a huge amount of change in the melody, no sort of weird. I think as well, like the harmonies were good too. It's just these little small things that were done that really kind of made it special. I think I've said all I wanted to say about this without sort of repeating myself. So thank you. Please do go check out Vices Inc. and various social medias and Spotify. Stay cool and stay safe. And please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time. I need all the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Catch you next review. Spider hands out.